Hey everyone, Mark the Movieman here. Welcome to the final cut. Well, the film is here, and before it even hit the theaters, it was already dividing fans. Hell, it divided fans when they first announced who was going to play Batman, and I obviously am talking about Batman versus Superman. Now, I debated on whether or not I should actually review this movie because, on one hand, if I totally bash the film or didn't like it, then I will be accused of just hating because everyone else hated the film. If I love the film, then those of the people out there who hate the film are going to come at me and go, "What the hell are you talking about? This was a total and utter failure," which was a headline that I actually saw. This is a complete and utter failure. This thing failed where Man of Steel succeeded. And in the end, folks, this is just my opinion. I go into movies and I look for enjoyment first and foremost. And maybe people will say, well, that doesn't make you a critic, and that's fine. I understand. I go into a movie and I look for, did I come out of the movie and enjoy it? And the fact is, with Batman and Superman, yes. Batman vs. Superman, I came out of the film and I enjoyed it. I really loved a lot of parts of this film. Now, that doesn't mean that I am completely blind to where has its shortfalls, which there are aplenty as well. I'm a Zack Snyder fan. I will come up there right now. But even for me as a Zack Snyder fan, I saw some of the weaker points in him handling such a large project as this. I think he does better with the smaller independent stuff or the not quite so known stuff. That being said, Batman vs. Superman giving us the story of basically Batman versus Superman. Superman suffering consequences from the fallout of his battle at the end of Man of Steel, and Batman, aka Bruce Wayne, ticked off because of the fallout and things that happened at the end of Man of Steel. And we see how that has enraged this Batman, this older, cynical Batman who questions what he's doing and sees how he sets out to stop this alien because there is that slight chance he could be an evil person, while the true evil, Mr. Lex Luthor, has his own plans for pitting these two against each other and meanwhile taking over basically the world. This film I loved. There are shortfalls. It is bloated, much like Age of Ultron. It is a setup film, much like Age of Ultron. What I did enjoy in here especially, though, is one, the portrayal of Batman by Mr. Affleck. Yes, folks, Affleck, I call him Affleck, sorry, but the one part that everybody was worried about, I thought he played fantastically in here. This is an older, bitter Batman, one who's been doing this for so long, and still there's crime in Gotham, and he's questioning and plus the fact that he's got the rage from the destruction of what had happened at the end of Man of Steel and Metropolis. I loved the layers and the depth and the darkness that he brought to this character, and how you get this feeling like he's become obsessed with taking on Superman because it just consumed him. And you can see that if you know the Batman character. Loved his portrayal, loved Jeremy Irons as Alfred. Now, Superman does get a little bit of the short stick here, but we explored a lot of that in Man of Steel, his character, and there are some moments in here that I truly do like Henry Cavill and what they've done with the Superman character. Then there were parts that I thought were like, really? For the most part, between Batman and Superman, he is the weaker character, though I will say the action sequences in here, being Zack Snyder, he handles those well. I loved the fight between Batman and Superman. Felt just like ripped from the pages of the comic. They handled that battle part of it very well, and it was visually stunning, and it was engrossing, and I just wanted to see how things played out. Now, some of the characters that I thought that were kind of weak in here, we're looking at Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. I felt just like in a Marvel film, if we're going to be comparing, which many people seem to do, the villain in here got kind of the short end of the stick in this case, and here too, Lex Luthor just, it felt more like he was a Mark Zuckerberg with a lot more villainy to him, but basically he kind of played that same character, so he was miscast from the beginning. And Amy Adams' character, Lois Lane, She serves about as much purpose here as she did in the first, in Man of Steel. And so, underutilized here. Who I really loved who showed up was Wonder Woman. Such a fantastic performance. Just from the limited amount of time we get to see her, makes me very excited for the Wonder Woman solo film. I thoroughly enjoyed the scenes where her, Batman, and Superman are together. Yes, you saw that in the trailer. That's not a spoiler. And I really enjoyed that bit as well. The ending was... I understand why they went the direction they did with the ending, and I kind of liked it. It was a little bit unexpected, but at the same time, I was kind of hoping they could have taken a little bit of different direction. The editing could have been better in this film as far as the storytelling goes. Things were just put just a little bit out of place and had the viewer questioning just a little too long what was going on, and you don't want that. So editing could have been better, and this could have been tightened up. They could have trimmed a lot of it. I would have loved to see them mainly just focus on Batman versus Superman rather than try to use this as a setup for the DC Universe. But let's face it, folks, we as fans asked for this, though we may not have realized it. In our criticism of Man of Steel and the fallout there, that affected this film, no doubt. Then, of course, there's the pushing of, wow, DC's falling behind, gotta be Marvel, DC's falling behind. And they hear that and they think, producers think, they know what they're doing. And we know it's Hollywood and they usually don't. And let's face it, Marvel hasn't shit gold with every single film. Took my two boys to it. They saw it. One, the oldest, gave it 3 out of 5. My youngest gave it 4 out of 5. And me, I give it 4.5 out of 5. Yes, 4.5 out of 5. I think Man of Steel told a little bit more better story. This one did feel bloated and more of a setup film, but I enjoyed so many elements of it that I could look past that and just get engrossed in the experience that was Batman versus Superman. And I'm looking so forward to the Wonder Woman film especially. So check it out. I know everybody has opinions about this film. Please leave your constructive comments down below. Love to hear your thoughts on this movie. Look for our podcast, Spoiler Room, where we're going to be babbling even more about this film and really picking it apart, which there's plenty to talk about, as the internet has proven. Folks, films are subjective, and that's why I love them. Everybody gets something different out of them, okay? And we've got to realize that. Us critics, we're just giving you our perspective from our experiences. And in the end, it matters most what you think and what you feel. So check it out. It's worth at least a matinee, if not a $5 Tuesday at least. Go out and see it for yourself. And then, if you really hated it, okay, it's not for everybody. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, remember, keep that ticket stub.